Tell me a bit about your punk and your metal guitar experiences. What's up with that?
Again, kind of fell into it, really. A friend of mine worked in a record store in Nottingham. I say friend, I kind of knew him. He was a vocalist, but he knew another guy that I kind of knew who was in a band with my friend. The music scene in Nottingham, at least at that time, was very kind of interwoven. You know, if you knew one guy, you were like maybe 2 degrees of separation between everyone, you know. They want to start up this like straight edge punk band. They're going to have 2 singers. They're going to kind of play the vocals off and everything. It was going to have like a spiritual kind of edge to it. One of the singers was into Hare Krishna. He was big into like Shelter and 108 and all these like Krishna core bands. A couple of phone calls later, I'm in this band. I'm in a band called Third Stone. And we ended up touring, played with Better Than 1,000, which was a band headed by Ray Cappo, founder of Youth of Today, like one of the forefathers of the New York hardcore. Recorded a couple of EPs, ended up going a different direction. Unfortunately, my career at that time took me in a different direction, took me out of town. That was difficult. And like all these difficult situations, that was painful at the time, and partly down to what I now know is ADHD, and partly just to my bad management of the situation. You know, I let a lot of people down, and I blew a couple of opportunities. Those tough times have brought me to here. It's all bore positive fruit. That was quite an intense couple of years. I was living in the Buddhist temple at the time, and you know, and playing.
In the Buddhist temple playing in a punk band. I love it, dude.
You know, we had band meetings in our Gompa, which is like our meditation room. We have a couple of band meetings in front of the shrine, in front of the statues of the Buddhas and everything. It was all very, very surreal, but it kind of worked, you know.
So playing with those bands, right? Did you accumulate like knowledge, desire, and experience and stuff that would take you to your next career choice? Were you able in your next career after that to take anything that you learned from that and carry that over?
Because I've always been a huge like self-educator, going back to what we were saying earlier about finding, you know, inspirational people and serious people, pretty much everything I engage myself in contributes to everything that I am, you know. And that's the ADHD as well. If I'm interested in something, I'm hyper focused on it. So guitar and martial arts are about the only things I've stuck at in my entire life, you know. So I'll play guitar for like 15, 16 hours a day when I was learning guitar because I just couldn't get off it. My schoolwork, you know, down the pan. If I meet someone who knows about, say, Taoism or Hinduism or quantum physics or something that I find interesting, I latch onto it, and then I've got to find out everything I can about it. It's almost obsessive. I've got to be very careful about what I get addicted to, you know. My next serious career was when I got into like hypnosis, although I did a lot of public speaking as well. So it definitely did a lot for my stage fright and everything like that.
Hypnosis.
Yeah.
Did you self-hypnosis yourself, or was this is about like learning how to hypnotize other people? Like how does one get into hypnosis?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
That was through martial arts. Yeah, I had my first black belt coming up. I've got a thing with aggression. I can't get aggressive with friends. You know, with people, I might get angry. You know, we might have cross words, but like when I've got to fight someone, when I've got to spar someone, it's my friend. I had real trouble getting in that zone where I'm going to hit the guy. You know, I'm either not hitting him or I'm just tapping him. It's like, you know. So I went to see one of my coaches. I thought, look, I need some boxing coaching. You know, is there any boxing gyms around? Well, why do you need boxing? And I told him why. You know, I've got a black belt coming up. I'm going to have to spar someone that I don't dislike. You know, it's not going to go well. He's like, well, so why boxing though? Well, because I want to be able to hit things. And have you ever thought of hypnosis? No, you know. And from there, he recommended a hypnotist and neuro-linguistic programming, which is kind of related. And that did the trick. It got me through my first ever black belt test in Chinese Kung Fu. And from there, I was like, I need to learn this. Partly because I wanted to be a Jedi, but partly because, you know, when I got into it, I could see how I could help people with this. Eventually, I met my wife doing a training course, working with like big charities and things like that, raising money for charities by doing motivational talks and firewalking and things like that.
The hypnotism, okay? So is this more like self-hypnosis where you're able to put yourself into a kind of a trance where you're able to reprogram oneself? Or Is it like you can look at somebody like I've seen on some of these weird like hypnosis things where all of a sudden the guy hypnotizes a person and he becomes a fucking chicken when he fucking wakes up and starts clucking all around in circles?
Yeah.
Where's the line?
It's well, hypnosis is just it's an altered state, you know. Hypnosis is just like a guided trance. So the talk I often give to my clients, we're in and out of altered states all day, you know. So when you're jamming, when you hit a riff and you're just jamming on a track, you know, you're just jamming on this groove. You know, like most of the stuff you post in your shorts when you're demoing equipment and pedals and stuff, you can tell by the look in your face you're just in that groove, you know. That's a trance. When you're driving and the journey just zips by, next thing you know, you're pulling into your driveway. You haven't got a clue how you got there, you know, because you're just so used to it. That's a trance, you know. The one I normally fall for, you're in an elevator riding up and everyone gets out of the elevator. You get out with them and then you're like, oh, no, this ain't my floor, you know. And then you've missed the elevator. Yeah, it's because you're in a trance, you know. And this is all hypnosis. The skill of the hypnotist is just guiding that trance and getting something productive out of it. What you see on stage is it's largely play acting. There's an element of trance involved. You can't make someone do something that they wouldn't normally do. That's outside of their, you know, their moral code. The first thing that any hypnotist will do is ask for volunteers. If I say, well, I need 20 volunteers on the stage, and you'll get about 60, and you run a couple of like hypnotic tests. So you want to deselect the people who can't be hypnotized quickly, and the people who aren't up for, you know, making a spectacle of themselves. So those people are implicitly given their permission. Okay, you know, I'll act like a chicken. I'll think my shoe's a telephone, you know, or that's really hot in here or whatever. So you select for the people who are going to be into that. There's a lot of skill involved in stage hypnosis. It isn't all play acting. Anyone can be hypnotized. If you watch a movie and you start getting sad at, you know, during the death scene, or you're starting to get like riled up during that when the heroes, you know, reemerge and like the final battle's coming in, and you're there fighting along. You're having an emotional engagement. You know it's make-believe. You know that's an actor. That's not really Superman. You know, that's a guy on wires. But you're still emotionally engaged with it. Or you get emotionally moved by that riff, that tune. That's hypnosis.
Wow, man. Also, like the selection process, what you said about like on stage, right? You got to be really quick at looking at people's mannerisms and potential, right? So is this person insecure? Does this person have too much confidence? Does this person own a farm with a bunch of chickens? So he's got like chicken kind of DNA like built into him or something, you know? Yeah. I kind of got that, right? I can look at almost anybody just by the way they act, talk, the first words that come out of their mouth. I can chase down their throat into their history and generally be pretty bang on as to what kind of person it is. And usually there's a balance between being shy or just being impolite or a pompous person. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes a shy person can be mistaken as a person who doesn't care, whereas a person who doesn't care for the wrong reasons, it's not because they're shy or timid, but it's just because they're pompous. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a fine line to be able to navigate that thing, right? And I guess as a hypnotist, there's a psychiatric kind of undertow that's happening in there as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've used hypnosis for a lot of mental health reasons. I use it for myself, for my ADHD. Obviously, I've helped people stop smoking with it, but I've also used it I had a lady who's an artist. In fact, she was just finishing her fine art degree, and she needed to access a bit of inspiration. She was doing pieces on the unconscious, and I can't remember the exact brief that she had, but she wanted to access her inspiration a bit more quickly, a bit more readily. So we did hypnosis for that. I did hypnosis for phobias. And phobias are normally linked, you know, to early childhood stuff, between about 2 and 12, maybe. I'm often very quick to send people on to people more qualified than I. You know, I won't use it for schizophrenia or extreme depression. I'm much more into transformative work than therapeutic work, you know. If I can help someone with like a lifelong fear of rodents or spiders or something, get over that, or heights, I can do that like in an hour, done. That's their life changed, you know. And you'll often find these things are linked to other things as well. It stacks. You get rid of that one fear, that one anxiety, and it cascades down, hits other anxieties, you know. It can be transformative, you
Oh,
know?
the cascading.
Yeah, yeah,
You've shown people how to walk barefoot across broken glass, right?
yeah.
Is this all part of figuring out that you like the discipline of breaking down people, isolating their emotions and fears, converting them into satisfying results that will lead to other satisfying results as one thing leads to another?
Yeah.
And as simple as that phrase may sound, it's actually really complicated for most people to think that is possible. Like, for me, like music creation, for instance, has been a big part of where I've learned so much of my discipline, right? Writing from thin air, working with other artists' insecurities and giving them confidence, advice that they need, to hear and make them deliver to themselves has always been like one of my favorite things to do. I learn that kind of discipline and quick form explanations through the architecture of music creation, writing short commercials, and what I like to call the great sacrifice that needs to be made, that are not always actually sacrifices, but just what needs to be done for the moment at hand.
Yeah.
What is the right thing to do? Learning to take that emotional content out of the decision making. For some people, it's a lack of experience thing, right? But where everything seems like, so intense and mega important because you just don't know yet. You're hanging on to all your first thoughts like they're the gold of gold, but it's not. Like, you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. For me, it's a lot of going with the flow. This is my idea. It's the first idea I've had. That grasping thing again, You're not allowing anything to happen. You're not allowing anything to develop. You're not allowing that natural growth, evolution maybe, of that idea if you're just going to keep it like this in things like music and in life in general. So many people I talk to who just want to change their career or change something about their current career.
And where's the balance, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a balance, right? Because like if you never say anything or then you say too much or then you just say, okay, it's everybody's equal here. Let's just kind of go. And what happens if you decide that you want to become a leader and a good leader as opposed to an egotistical leader, right? So it's like a five line. I've had that problem. Like I come across like an alpha male kind of leader stuff, but I'm actually one of the easiest people on earth to work with in the sense where I've sacrificed what I could have done many, many times to let other people be part of something that maybe had less skill than me because I saw potential, right? And that's my problem. It's I like kind of saving people who have potential, and I will put myself to the back of the line, and I will never want to act like fuck you, I'm the boss. I know what I'm doing. I can't do that. Just like you don't want to hit your friend. You know what I mean?
That's what makes you the leader. That's what makes you a good leader. Leaders serve, And you've never really come across to me as like alpha, You've always come across to me as like exactly who you are, You're not apologetic about it, You're not a dick about it, clearly, but you're rooted, you're grounded, you are here, you are in whatever moment it is, you're in that moment, and that's what gives you this air of like being self-assured. These guys who want to be alpha and be telling everyone what to do, they're proving something to themselves more than anything, because you don't have anything to prove to yourself in that area. That's why you can be the leader. If serving is beneath someone, then leading is above them. They can't do it. It's as simple as that.
That's a good phrase. Right. That needs to be on a fucking t-shirt, dude.
The power in that kind of thing, as with music, is in that self-discovery, finding it out for yourself. And that's what comes from you. Again, it's that self-assuredness, but you're okay to say like, okay, well, let's play that then. We'll go that way. Okay, let's go. 2, 3, 4. And in.
It takes a while. Sometimes it takes a while to get that. I used to have this huge phobia where if I was playing with all these like self-taught, like what you're saying, like not the self-taught, these like total technical fucking I know a million scale kind of dudes, right? These guys, I used to have a phobia about that, and it really wasn't until I actually got like my 12-string bass where I realized, you know what? I have no competition except it for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't got to worry about 4-string, 5-string, or 6-string bass players now because I'm just doing my own thing, which is a cross between guitar and bass or whatever the fuck I want. And I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And at that moment, what happened is I became myself. I mean, look, I was always fast at like putting together music and directing shit and things like I could write an entire record by 6 o'clock every night. I have zero education in music,
Yeah.
zero thing. I work with this beginning, middle, and end concept, right? And you should be the first one to know if you suck, so fix
Yeah.
it, right? And
Yeah.
when you do that enough, right, for enough years, you should be able to, and I don't really hang out with so many people that I have people who tell me that shit is impossible. You see what I
Yeah.
mean? So I would rather help people and learn through that than have people tell me what I can and can't do because they can't do it or they're not trying to do it. I'm just, hey, man, whatever's good for you is good for me. I just want you to be happy. You know what I mean? I want you to have a great life. I want you to love yourself, your wife, your boyfriend, whatever it is. That's the most important thing because you will never know. You're only going to know at the very, very, very end, just before you close your eyes and you have your last breath, whether you enjoyed your life. And we don't want to wait or think about that shit. Therefore, what you don't see, I have a friend of mine who passed away recently who almost hit 104 years old. And his name was Dr. John Manhold. He ran fucking Harvard University for 10 years. He was a real fucking genius. As a matter of fact, he was friends with, and in the same book with fucking Albert Einstein, dude.
Oof.
You know what I mean? And so, exactly. So when he's telling me this shit, right, I'm saying, what? Einstein? You got to be kidding me. This is not like, okay, I know Billy Sheehan. I know some of these, I know all kinds of musicians and shit, but now you're talking Albert Einstein. This kind of goes to another place for me. But he never stopped till the very end. And when he went like that. He was in love with his wife, big time. He never stopped working till the very end. And he was a true Renaissance man. God bless his soul, a war hero, did so many things in his life. I was blessed to know him. But we got along because of the same reason you and me get along. This drive for self-driven knowledge and a connection of other people who enjoy working hard, not because it's hard, but because it's fun to fucking be part of it because you feel like a superhero.
Exactly.
You wanted to be a ninja.
Yeah.
This brings you as close to a superhero, your own type of superhero, because you're solution based.
Yeah.
Right? Fucking it gets me every single time.
Yeah. It's solution based. You're affecting change. You're creating things out of nothing. It's the closest thing to real magic, whether it's music or money or material goods or just good vibes, just happiness. You're creating something out of nothing. It's a superpower. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been doing that since I'm a kid, actually. I remember like going behind my mother's washing machine into the foundation by the time I was like 4 years old. And I had a secret laboratory that I made down there. And I drew like a skull and crossbones and I'd stay out. I put it back there, you know what I mean?
Got to.
My father's workshop was there, he brought the first TV on the block home, right? I was like 5 years old and my father was out of the house and I fucking went and I pulled out screwdrivers and I took the whole TV apart, pulled out the tube, and my father says, "What the hell is this?" And I told him, I says, "Where are the people coming from?" I needed to see whether the people were in there. You know what I mean? I didn't understand. You know what I mean? And he used to tell me, if you needed the face of the queen, you wouldn't hesitate to cut it off of $100 bill. And he was right. Oh, look, I need a screw. It's holding up that chandelier up there. I'm going to take that one screw, pull it out, and I'm going to use it, even if the whole house falls down. My mother made me this phenomenal book, actually 3 giant binders, okay, where everything is in there. My first haircut, the piece of paper that said she was pregnant with me, every letter, every school book from nursery school all the way to grade 9 or 10. Every report card, dude. You know what happened? I got that in my late 40s. When I looked at that and analyzed what the teachers thought of me, they didn't get me. They wanted me to not write with my left hand. They said I was too hyperactive, that I could have been ADHD and all this kind of stuff. They didn't understand. My mother was saying, "No, you don't understand. He's just too quick. He just sees things and makes shit happen." And they made her take me to a shrink and, put the square peg in the square hole kind of thing, right? So she brings me, I go, boom, 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 boom. It's all done. I said, "What is this shit?" Right? And then she looks at them and she says, "You see, there's nothing wrong with him. It's you guys." And boom.
Oh, yeah.
I winded up talking at universities and talking to all kinds of people, giving them advice and shit without even a high school education, because there is a certain thing that happens when you are a serious person and you go for the thing. Some of the most famous people on earth had 0 education. From Henry Ford, some of the biggest people, Alexander Graham Bell, all these people, nothing. Tesla, for crying out fucking loud. Einstein.
Yeah, Einstein himself, yeah.
You know, this is what I used to tell Dr. Manhold. I said, I can't believe that I'm hanging out with like a fucking genius and I've got like a grade 9 education. And he used to tell me, it's got nothing to do with that. He says, you are bang on for everything you're thinking.
Yeah.
And I think you are too, bro. You know what I mean? The way you communicate, the way you break things down, I think you're a fucking genius. And I think that when one gets diagnosed with something, I think one needs to look at what it really means, right?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, because things can change just because your brain is so powerful. And I think it's about attracting yourself to what really attracts you when you need another level, because repetition at one point gets tiring. And I think that when things repeat and there's not change, what happens is one can get into a kind of a different zone and it can alter the personality, the person's confidence, all kinds of different things by thinking that even subconsciously, it doesn't even have to be up front, right? The subconscious could make weeks, months, and years go by where one feels that there's not sufficient amount of change that is happening. Therefore, one judges themselves or needs to be diagnosed as to why this is happening. You know discipline. You know self-discipline. And self-discipline is key. They will never teach you that in school. They will tell you, class starts at this time, be there. And if you're not there, they're going to say you're fucking late. You lack discipline. That's not really discipline. That's being on time, right? Self-discipline is being on time for yourself because you think it's important enough, you know what I mean, that you're going to do and put in the hours where no one told you to do this but yourself, right? This creates interest, personal growth for no reason other than it turns your crank.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's something I'm still teaching a small group of martial arts to some teenagers. They were with me all the way up to the pandemic, and then I closed my martial arts school down. So I moved into coaching eventually, but there's a small group of kids that have been with me since they were like 7 or 8. So I'm still teaching those guys. And some of them are having difficulty at school for whatever reason. And I've told them the same thing, you know, you can achieve what you want to achieve. You can get where you want to get in the world, in life. You don't necessarily need school for that. But there's no getting around that self-discipline. There's no getting around putting the hours in. Just find what it is you want to put the hours in and do that, you know? It isn't necessarily, not anymore anyway. I think when we were growing up, there's more of an argument to be made, you know, if you don't do well at school, you're not going to get a decent job. Not now, you know, not now. There's alternatives, but there's no alternative, in my mind at least, to finding your passion and committing 100% to it, and just having that discipline to dive in and sink your teeth into it and never let it go, and just making it yours, you know?
The education system back then told you that if you didn't have the diploma to do this, then there's no way you can do this because you won't know how to do it, right? And when the internet came out, right, and you had the option of not watching porn and going for fucking straight up fucking self-education, what happens is you are able to learn things that could cost you a lot of money in years in the school system, and you can learn it by 6 o'clock at night. That's my trip.
Yeah.
What can I do by 6 o'clock at night that I do not know how to do that would take somebody 2 years in a school, a bunch of courses to do? Now, that only means one thing. Doesn't mean you're smarter or less smarter than anybody else. It means you figured out how to condense information, forget the fucking parts that you don't need to know, and go right to the parts of, because everything goes in, must come out. Everything, you jump up, you're getting pulled down. You can only go left, right, forward, backwards. This is life in general, right? And each one of these actions have a consequence. And music, again, arrangement, the layering of tracks, harmony, all this shit gives you the architectural understanding of construction. It's architecture. Everything is architecture. Yeah. Baking a cake, making your toast in the morning. You can always do the same thing, or let's vary it up. Let's do something a little different today. You know what I mean? And have fun and enjoy that you made the choice to be able to actually do that and decide whether one was better than the other. You see what I mean?
No, exactly.
Fuck.
Yeah. Man, yeah.
So you work with artists, authors, musicians, content creators, tattoo artists, DJs, photographers. You help them map out their lives so they can see clearly and get their shit together in the right order. And that is what I think is the problem with most artists, is controlling the potential of their dreams and overbearing information into something tangible that has a proper beginning, middle, and an end that actually suits them on top of that when they wind up representing their works in the end. Okay, so how did all this come about for you, bro?
I've always been coaching in one way or another, but when I closed my martial arts school down because of the lockdown, and because the martial art I was teaching is like close combat, even when everything was opening back up, most of my students were like, yeah, we're not too sure about coming back, So I made the decision just to essentially retire from martial arts. It's my childhood dream, just gone up in smoke, And then I realized it wasn't about the martial arts. I only ever used martial arts as a vehicle for helping people, for coaching people. And I already had a bunch of coaching qualifications. So I got into coaching professionally, mostly executives. But I had a few friends in the UK who are artistic types, and they're friends of mine. So I was like, yeah, I can help you out with this. I find working with creatives, I just find it much more fulfilling, They're much more invested in the work as well. With one or two exceptions, the executives I've worked with, even though they paid quite well, they're like, well, look, here's my money. I need you to fix this. That's the executive kind of mindset. That's what they're used to dealing with. Whereas artists invest, you know what I mean? Artists, they want to be part of the process. And it's like, I'm not, as I said on my website, I'm not interested in being a guru. I'm not going to sit on a cushion and, espouse all these wisdoms and change your life. That's not what a coach does. And it's not how I operate. I need you to fire me as soon as possible, and get out there and do it yourself. And artists just invest in that much more because their work means more to them. They invest their souls, their heart and soul into what they do. So they care about it. So I just thought, you know what? There might not be so much money in working with artists, but I just like it more. So I just ditched all my executive clients.
I so know what you mean about the whole executive thing. We were like, at some point, Carrillo and I were working like with 20, 30, 40 companies at the same time. And I could not handle the lack of passion, the lack of education, the here, take my money, just fix it. And they don't care. And then when you do what you're supposed to do, they can just pop out of nowhere and say, nah, that's not that. But it actually is. And working with artists, like you say, they put in their passion. They're willing to learn and go for it. And some of them also don't learn from their lessons because they're just too insecure. But like you say, it is way more fun. The clients that I work with now, they're actually a combination of the both. They're
Yeah.
business people that are in touch with their artistic side, which is the kind of blend. It took me a while for me to figure that one out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
After working with so many people, I would think for people like you and I, those are the kind of best kind of overall clients
Yeah.
when you can find the ones that are business orientated, they're able to afford certain kind of things, but they're in touch with their artistic side, and they just let you do you,
Yeah.
because they fully trust what it is that you do. And that is the dream job. But then again, that's manifestation. You have to manifest that
Exactly.
through all the people and all the people that you meet and work, and because they are out there, and it's not about quantity, it's about quality, and usually that means less. You don't need
Yeah.
that many people in your life.
No, I'm very selective. I only take people by invitation or referral. So it's either like a cool friend of mine, a cool client of mine has said, you're cool. So you're cool, and these are people I like. These are people who inspire me. So I'm learning as well. I basically end up teaching the stuff that I need to learn myself. And it just, and this is way better than
Dude,
executive work.
That is so well put. The people that I work with is exactly how I feel about them.
Yeah.
I inspire them, but they really inspire me. I've learned stuff from these people outside what it is we do in ways that I would never have learned that.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you surround yourself with like smart people. I like to find people that are even way more intelligent than I am in other subjects and stuff, so that we can share and and bounce off each other and grow together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, totally.
In closing, if you had one piece of advice, we were talking about this at the very beginning, and I know that there's many. I always like to try and break it down to that one thing that connects to all the other things that would let all those things happen, right? What would you say that could be?
Take the first step. You just got to do it. Whatever. If you want to be, I know, a published author, if you want to be like Stephen King style published author, people look at the end goal. This is the problem with goal setting, and that's huge and intimidating. If you want to sell 1 million records, that's an intimidating goal, and it stops people going for it. The amount of people working in banks right now who could have been the next Van Halen, or the next James Patterson, or the next Steven Spielberg, but they let the voices or their critics stop them taking that first step. Just take the first step, no matter how scary it might be. Take the tiniest possible step forward you can. Just do it. The world needs more creativity. We need more. It makes the world a better place. During lockdown, when you couldn't go see your bands, you couldn't see, plays, opera, music. On top of everything else, the world was a crappier place because there was less art in it. There was less. You just do it, even if it isn't artistic, even if it isn't creative. Find the smallest possible step you could take towards it, and do it.
I think that's the magic word. I think you said the magic sentence, guys. So that's it. No matter what you guys want to do in life, for anything and everything, taking that first step and reaping the benefits from that first step will lead to other steps that will just take you to the top of your own mountain. You know what I mean? And then you'll look down there and you'll say, damn, look at all those freaking marble steps I climbed because I built some solid shit that wasn't made of mud that's going to get washed away from your crying tears. You know what I mean? And you got something solid happening.
It's how everyone starts. All the people we look up to, all those top musicians, artists, martial artists, they all started the same way. They took that small step. They took that first step. They wouldn't be the people we look up to now if they hadn't done it. You've just got to do it. Just got to do it.
I loved your whole approach to breaking down everything. The world needs people like you. You're a beautiful human being, and thank you, man. Thank you for this
Back at you,
wonderful,
friend. Back
awesome.
at you. Love to you and Krilla. You're making a difference. You're making a difference every single day. Keep it up. Thank you.